Hey everyone, I finished watching the next VR Troopers episode, and I don't remember the name of it. Let me look at Searching for Tyler Steele. Now this episode begins like most episodes do. Ryan is reminiscing about his father, uh, Tyler Steele. And this time it's his father teaching him how to make origami swans. Not really anything too weird there, so okay, moving on to the actual episode. Let's see. The troopers are out horse riding far out from the city and they spot what looks like an empty building. But then when they go to get a closer look at the building, they see a man inside. So then they try to get a closer look, and then Grimlord sends a bunch of Skugs after them. They defeat the Skugs, but then they're teleported into the battle grid. And, cool note, this is the first time all three troopers are in the battle grid at the same time. That's pretty neat. Unfortunately, the battle inside the battle grid isn't anything particularly special. Uh, there's not really a reason for them to be there. I think it was just there to eat up some time. But it's cool, regardless, just to see all three of them there. Later on, the troopers try to find information about the building they saw earlier. It turns out it's a defunct weapons plant owned by the government, and they're wondering who the man they saw was. See, Caitlin took some pictures of the building and got a picture of the man, and Ryan says he thinks it looks familiar. And then meanwhile, at Zichter Industries, Carl Zichter is meeting with Mayor Rooney. He wants information on the building the troopers were researching restricted. This doesn't really go anywhere. The troopers already looked up about the building. They know what they need to know. I don't know what exactly this solves. It feels like just another thing to eat up some time, which is probably the biggest problem with this particular episode. It's a decent episode. It's a really good episode. It's a unique episode for most VR Troopers episodes, but it also just yeah, they're really clearly reaching for extra time because I think the plot rate came up short or something. So then, let's see. In virtual reality, Grimlord orders a prisoner from the building be moved. So apparently, the man that the troopers saw in the building is one of Grimlord's prisoners, and so now he's getting transferred to virtual reality or something. All right. So then he sends out monsters to split up the troopers. Ryan thinks that the man that they saw in the building might be his father, so he goes to check it out. JB and Caitlin try to hold off Skugs and monsters. Ryan fights his way through an army of a bunch of monsters to get to the man in the building, but then he finally gets there and the building is completely empty. But there's a clue behind. On this table, the man left an origami swan, just like the ones his father was showing him how to make in the opening flashback. Okay, so then Ryan runs out the building, calling for his father, but he doesn't get an answer. Then JB and Caitlin make it to the building, and yeah, empty. And Ryan is convinced that they missed a chance to rescue his father, and that's the end. No real happy ending here. It ends on a real like bummer note, which is really weird for VR Troopers. And the other weird thing is that there's like no comic relief in this episode. There's no Woody, no Percy. The mayor shows up, but it's not in a comedic role. Even Jeb in this episode is very subdued. There's like one bit where Jeb is watching through the monitors at Hart's lab, and there's like this computer effect where his jaw drops and his eyes bug out. But that's about the goofiest the episode gets. Let's see. Da-da-da. Oh yeah, one of the weird things, the scene with Carl Zichter and the mayor doesn't really go anywhere. It's not really doesn't really serve any purpose. All it sets up is that the mayor sees Carl Zichter as a superior, and he's worried about like looking good for him. It's really weird. I don't really know what exactly dynamic they have. And then let's see. While Ryan goes to save his father, JB and Caitlin are stuck kind of going through the motions. They just burn through some stock footage. They even use the airship stuff again because I guess they had tons of that they could easily reuse. And I think this could have been made stronger if they use the American suits because at this point we know that they have like three suits for each trooper. And I think they wouldn't have to do much, just show them like walking and then splitting up. I don't know why they can't do that. It would help so much just to see all three of them together, even if it is the American suits. What I think could have improved this is if all three of them went to the building at the same time and then had to like split up and go separate ways. But instead it's just from the very beginning and I don't know, it's kind of sloppy. The other thing I want to talk about was the horses at the beginning that they're riding. That doesn't really tie in with anything either. They just happen to be out horse riding, and the horses never come back. It doesn't really, they don't have to be riding the horses. And it made me wonder if this was filmed at the same time as A Friend in Need from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, because the location that they're riding the horses in looks almost the same. I'm wondering if it's the same place, like if for Power Rangers they like rented these horses or something, and they were like, "Oh, hey, we're done with the horse scenes, but we still have the horses for like a day or something." And so then they were like, "Oh, let's have the VR troopers ride horses." It seems like something Saban would do. They don't like to let things go to waste like that. um, yeah, that's it for this one. Kind of a short one. There's not a whole lot to talk about. Oh, there is one interesting thing. At Hart's lab, they the picture that Caitlin took of the guy in the building, they put it up on this thing and they enhance the picture. And I really hate this because there's no such thing as enhancing a picture, but they do actually explain it kind of where let's see the guy has a long beard, and then Ryan says to JB, "What if we remove his beard?" And so they have this like thing that removes his beard, and it kind of, sort of looks like Ryan's father. Not really. It's not a very good picture. I don't know if they were distorting it or something, but anyway, Ryan's like, it's got to be my dad. And JB's like, it's just an approximation of what the person might look like. So that's cool that it's like an AI system. It's giving an approximation of the person's face, not their actual face, just based on the resolution of the original image, what it could possibly look like. That's a neat little thing that I like. It's a it's a nice touch. So that's it about this one, I guess. So hope you enjoyed it. See ya.